All right, this is our 6th and final video in our series, How to Buy a Business with an SBA Loan. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how long it should take to go from loan application to closing. This can vary dramatically depending on your specific situation, but what I want to do is kind of talk through the key milestones and steps in that process, just to give you a sense of what this looks like and what to expect going through once you have applied. What should you expect between that and closing? After you apply for an SBA loan, the first process or first milestone I would expect is to receive a term sheet or letter of intent from the lender that kind of lays out the terms of the deal, what the lender expects, the structure of the deal, the interest rate, the term, the amount, what kind of collateral requirements they would expect you to have, all those sorts of things they're going to lay out on a term sheet so that you can get an idea of, hey, if I was to get fully approved for this, these would be the terms, and would I even want to move forward with this? Okay, so that's kind of step one. After you've received that term sheet, you're likely to be asked for a good faith deposit. So this could be maybe as little as $1,000. It could be $30,000, depending on the size and complexity of your deal. So what this is going to do is it's going to be a deposit that the lender is going to kind of use to take your deal off the street, is what it's commonly referred to. Basically, the lender wants to know that you aren't shopping this around to 10 different lenders and having them all go through a whole bunch of work to underwrite your deal and structure your deal, using up a bunch of staff time and resources for the lender. When you're shopping around to 10 different lenders, they want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so by requiring a deposit of some sort, it basically says, hey, we gave you a term sheet, and in good faith, if we were to get this approved, would you like to move forward? As a gesture of good faith, pay this deposit to show you'd like to move forward with us. That's the idea. And so I would expect to have that. Once you pay that deposit, that's when you're going to go into underwriting. Underwriting is where they're going to beat up on your deal. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions. And some of this can happen before you even get to a term sheet. Some lenders will actually have the underwriting team review the deal before they issue a term sheet. So it could be a term sheet backed by the underwriting team. Sometimes the loan officers, the lenders themselves, they are able to issue those term sheets without underwriting's review. And so you may expect to have some more questions from underwriting during that process. Once you get past underwriting, there could be a loan committee that also needs to approve the deal. So a lot of times the underwriter will approve the deal, and then depending on the loan size, the loan committee could be made up of just one or two internal people at the bank, but someone else is probably going to have to sign off on this deal to get you to that official approval. All right, once you get to an official approval, then you've got a couple other items that you're going to have to likely go through. Now, if it's an acquisition, there is an appraisal requirement, and this could actually happen potentially before the official approval, or the appraisal could be kind of a contingency on that approval. So yeah, maybe you're approved, but you still have to pass this appraisal. It's kind of like the appraisal of your house. If you're going to buy a house, it needs to appraise for a certain value for that mortgage loan to kind of be fully approved, right? And so this is no different. You'll have to have a third-party independent appraiser appraise any business acquisition deal that is being funded by an SBA loan. And so you need to kind of know that going in, that that's going to be a part of the deal. And that, again, adds some time to the process, right? So there's another hurdle you got to get through. And then you've got to get through closing the loan itself, which in an acquisition is kind of complicated because you're going to have lawyers on the seller side, you're going to have lawyers on the buyer side, you're going to have lawyers at the bank. And when there's lots of lawyers all from different perspectives, you can just imagine that that's going to create some time. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some money to kind of go through and make sure everything is ready for closing. There's also going to be lots of checkbox documents. You got to make sure you've got the lease agreement signed and dated correctly. You've got to make sure that your driver's license got a picture of front and back. You've got to make sure that you signed the personal financial statement correctly or dated it correctly within the last 30 days to meet the SBA requirements, and so on and so forth, right? So there's a lot of just paperwork and dotting I's, crossing T's at this point. And again, that can stretch out depending on how fast you are. And it also doesn't always just rely on you, because you may be relying on someone else to get you a document or do some sort of process for you. So I would say for a typical acquisition loan, from the day that you apply to the day that you close, you kind of want to think about it like a 90-day period. It could certainly go longer than that, but I would hesitate to bank on it being any less than 90 days. If you need to close in 30 days, it's probably not going to happen. I want to give you that kind of context, tell you about the steps to go through the process. So I hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions about your particular deal, want some feedback, as I've mentioned before, we do offer a free SBA review. So make sure to grab the link in the the description of the video below to check out that free SBA review offering. And yeah, tell me about your deal and I'll try to provide some feedback or help along the way. And like I mentioned, this is the final video in our series on how to buy a business with an SBA loan. And there are 5 other videos we've linked to in the description of the video below. So if you just happen to come to this video and haven't seen the others, make sure to go back and watch those. I think it'll be really helpful in your process of buying a business. So hope that's been helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe our channel here so that you can get more SBA content that's useful for you in your process of buying a business. All right, best of luck. Thanks.